All right, guys, we're out here. So what we got going on is right there, basically anything that's hanging down low, take the pole saw, knock it all down. And then it's hard to see probably from right here, but you can see how the trail kind of tightens right up. We're gonna end up taking this side, part of this side out, and this side, make this like basically kind of like 2 lanes going through here. And then once we get through that whole section, then there's another section over there we're gonna end up doing. Now, something else I didn't point out in that last video I posted about the brush cutter. I went ahead, I got tired of the seat because the seat was pretty worn. And I put a 0-turn Toro seat in there. And holy crap, this thing's comfortable now. Because that was one of the things, I think I'm at 153 hours on this thing. And the seat padding was just gone. It was just flat. So that was another thing I upgraded. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this thing off the trailer. And then we'll probably zip through that real quick because that's just with the pole saw, nothing hard. And then we'll head down that way. All right, guys, so we'll go ahead and we'll get this attachment put on. And I'll show you how easy it goes on and clips on. And then we'll go ahead, fire this thing up, get down there, and just start walking this thing up and down the trail, and in no time this will be nice and wide. So this is the only thing I'm probably going to change. And I'm also thinking about adding a different fuel tank because when you tilt this, it was never designed for it, so it kind of will, if you do it wrong, gas will come out of there. So I'm thinking about just getting rid of this and putting another fuel tank maybe somewhere here or mounted above it. And that way too we can hold a little bit more fuel. And then for this piece here that I made for this, which I got to lower the thumb, I'm thinking about making just a flat plate that goes through. I mean, this works, but then you got to have this tool and everything. It'd actually be a little bit nice if we the fuck? Oh. I had to move the bucket. I didn't have the thumb in the right spot. The other thing too I'm thinking about making is a gauge that'll come off this and tell me where I pull that thumb, because the thumb obviously goes farther than what this cable is made to go. So I just watch it and watch this, how fast it's spinning, and that tells me where I'm good. But I'm thinking about making a gauge for it, fully extended. That way when I'm inside the excavator and I pull it back, I know where to stop. It'll be something simple. But yeah, so it's ready to go. So we'll go ahead and we'll head down there and we'll start cutting with this thing. And I got a whole thing with me, and these are really easy to change out. But like I said, I was cutting through a bunch of stuff on a metal link fence, and this didn't even shred up, so I think it's going to do fairly good out there. And then we always have this too. with the steel chain on it, so if we have to, we'll bust that out. But we'll go ahead and we'll head down that way. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and bust out this. Just on the, because this has got the chainsaw chain on it, and it cuts through the really thick stuff. And we're gonna buzz a bunch of this thick stuff back. All right, guys, we're back out here, and now yesterday running this thing, that string just sucks. If you're cutting, it was never meant to cut. I guess cut that stuff, but I was hoping because when I did it back at our house, it seemed to cut through all the thick stuff pretty good. But out here, I guess the sticks are too much for it. So we might want to overkill, but I haven't tested it yet, so this could go bad or it could go good. I have started it. It does spin and work just fine. So and I fixed the fuel leak. It was just an O-ring on the gas cap that was shot, so I just put a new O-ring on it. But I'll show you what I did, and if it works, it's going to work really well. Here it is. All right, so I went with the lightest chain I could get, but also could still have good braking strength. This has 800 pounds of braking strength. I was able to go through the holes where the string originally went through, and then I put a new hole, and then 2 washers, a lock nut, and a bolt, grade A bolt through there. And I fired it up. It runs pretty stinking well with it. So, and there's no weird vibrations or anything. And I got the chains pretty much right about there, if I can get the end of it. So it'll never get close enough to hit this, but this should allow me to cut through pretty much anything. And I'm thinking I'll probably just run it like a half throttle and start with that way and run it, because I don't think I'm going to need full throttle with it. So, and then like I said, the O-ring right here was what was shot, so I put a new O-ring on there. Now it doesn't leak any fuel, because yesterday every time you tilted it too high, you would get a little bit of fuel running out. So that's all fixed. So I'm hoping that this should work, and this will allow to cut through that stuff, because I mean, yeah, I can use this. It works pretty stinking well, the steel with the chainsaw thing, but man, you get freaking smacked everywhere with that thing. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll get this thing fired up, and we'll get the excavator, and we'll head back over here, and we'll get going on it, and we'll see how well it does now. And it should be a big improvement. And then if this all works, the only thing else I'm gonna have to figure out eventually is the on and off for this. And I got a couple ideas to do it, so we'll go ahead and just we'll get started and see if this is either gonna get work or it's gonna be a disaster. It's gonna be one or the other. So it's working, but I can tell you right now, I'm gonna have an issue here soon. This is getting wobbly. I think what we're gonna have to do is take this apart and make this a solid plate that bolts on. There's just, because this has an adjustment so you can adjust the height of your string, it's just tearing that up. So I'm gonna call it quits with this so I don't destroy it. And I'm gonna go down there. There's a couple trees I need to lift up and move out of the way, and we got this pretty wide now. And then we'll go ahead and go start down there, and then tonight when I get home I'll work on coming up with a plate, because of the bolt wise everything's working. It's just I need this to be solid. It can't be moving around. All right guys, we're back out here again. Now it's the next day, and you saw how loose the head was. So we still got to finish up through here. We need to move this stuff back on either side. So last night what I did is, this is going to be temporary. I'm going to make a bigger, thicker plate for it. But I managed to use the actual plate that was already on the bottom and got the chains mounted to it. This is solid to this shaft now. And what I did is I welded the bottom plate to a washer that fit perfectly around the shaft. And then you just bolt it on. And it seems, I tested out in the backyard, seems to work pretty well now. We're gonna put it to the test out here with this stuff, but it seems to be holding a lot better. It's decently thick, but I'm gonna make this thicker just for the fact that I know the buse is gonna go. But I just wanted to test this out before I go and make a full-on plate for it. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this thing fired up, and then we'll get cutting, and we'll get this side done, and then we're done with this whole trail over here. And then on the other side where I was kind of working yesterday, we'll go back over there and we need to widen that up a little bit more. But hopefully today, this will be the last time. That's the thing. I thought it was going to be mounting this thing was going to be where you try it and then you got to adjust it and you got to do this, that. And the mounting I made for it works perfect. It's just been this cutter trying to come up with something, but I think I got it now. And then the other thing, I lost the clip. We had originally hooked the cable up to engage it on. We hooked it up to here. Well, come to find out, when you're tilting the bucket, you run into a problem where you can put too much tension on it and stuff. So right now I just have a pair of vice grips on it, and which are down right in there, and it's just fully engaged running. And then I still want to make a design where I can turn it on and off. That way I don't have to, if something happens, I don't just have to jump out of the cab and kill it. So we'll go ahead and we'll try this again, and then we should be done with this job today, and then we'll make an actual bulletproof plate for this thing. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, guys, that made a world of difference doing it that way. So, you can see it widened. I got this pretty wide now. It actually did a really good job. This is exactly what I wanted to use it for. It's for stuff like this. I did stall it a couple times because I went a little bit too fast with some thick stuff, but I'm also running the minimum of throttle. I'm not running full throttle on this thing. And I definitely gonna need to do a little upgrade on the fuel tank, because obviously I'm working a little bit harder, so it burns through more fuel. And just this strip right here, it burned through a tank of fuel, which a tank of fuel, and that's not that much fuel anyways, pretty small tank. But you can see how it cut back all this stuff. And man, I mean, I could do this all by hand with the trimmer, but if I don't have to be hit with a bunch of crap, I'd rather do it this way. Now I also use the trimmer in smaller spots where it's not worth using that, but for what I need to do, that was absolutely perfect. So walk down here to the truck, and I think what we're gonna do is, yeah, this works, but like I said, I want it to be kind of bulletproof. I don't want to be, if I get another one of these jobs, be out there and it breaks. I want to get some thicker steel, make the exact same thing but out of thicker steel, and then shorten that shaft so that shaft doesn't snap. I'll show you what I mean. So what I mean is, this plate right here, I have to get my gauge out, but I mean, it's decently thick. It's not like cheap by any means, but you can see I broke the plastic. I'm just gonna get rid of this. I'm actually gonna pull this off now, so because I think it's making it a little bit more vibrating because it snapped the other side, but I gotta get that pulled off. But you can see how long this shaft is. I want to shorten that up and bring this up here so there's less chance of breaking it. That'll strengthen that up a little bit more. But for right now, we'll just get rid of that and we'll go to the other side and we'll keep going. I took the shield off because stuff was getting up inside here, and to be honest, I'd rather just leave that open so stuff can fly out and everything, and plus I can keep an eye on the belt that way and everything. But yeah, this thing's working out pretty stinking well. So we'll go ahead and throw the ramps on the trailer, and then we'll go ahead and head up to the other side, and then we'll get that side done, and then we're out of here. Alright guys, so we're all done with this job. The cutter works good. I'm gonna go ahead now and order a new carburetor for it, I never put a new one on it. I just kind of cleaned that one and got it running, and I started having a little bit of issues with getting fuel again. Some gunk must have moved again. So I'm just going to put a new carb on it now. It's worth putting some money into it now since I know it works really well. So I'm going to go ahead and get my stuff packed up and get out of here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And we'll probably go ahead and make that, rebuild that a little bit to make it a little bit stronger. I mean, it hasn't broke, but why not make it a little bit overkill? So I hope you guys liked the video. Hit that like button, subscribe button. Thanks for watching.